Hi everybody, today we're going to review comparing and ordering fractions. Our learning target for today is being able to order and compare fractions with unlike or different denominators. Before we start to compare and order fractions that have unlike denominators, I'd like to review with you how to compare and order fractions that have the same denominator. If we have fractions like 2/5 and 4/5, we look at these and we can see that in both there are 5 parts in a whole, and in this one our numerator tells us how many parts we have. So we have 2 out of 5 parts, and in this one we have 4 out of 5 parts. So having 2 out of 5 parts is less than 4 out of 5 parts. Now let's move forward into comparing fractions that have unlike denominators. One really simple way to do this, if the fractions have the same numerator, is to just simply compare the denominators. So let me give you a situation. Let's say that we have the fraction 3/5 compared to 3/7. So you can see here when we look at the denominators of 5 and 7, what those look like. The fraction that has 5 parts in a whole, the pieces are going to be a little bit bigger than the fraction that has 7 parts in a whole. So we can just compare. So if we have 3/5, I'm going to mark 3/5 compared to 3/7. The 3/7, each 1/7 piece is a little bit smaller than the 1/5 piece. So 3/5 is going to be greater than 3/7. Another way that we can compare fractions is using the benchmarks of 0, 1/2, and 1. So let me show you how to do this using the fractions 3/7 and 5/9. Okay, when I look at 3/7, I think about what's half of 7? Well, half of 7 is going to be in between. It's not going to be a whole number because 7's an odd number. But half of 7 would be 3.5. So I can see there that 3/7 is just a little bit less than half. 5/9, when I think about what's half of 9, well, 4.5 or 4.5 is half of 9. So 5 is a little bit bigger than that. So 5/9 is a little bit bigger than 1/2. From there, I can see that 3/7 is less than 5/9. When fractions are a little bit bigger or closer to 1, we can use the same strategy. So here I want to compare 7/8 and 6/7. So I drew out a number line for each of these. So we're going to use these then to compare these fractions to 1. On our number line, we can see that 7/8 is only 1/8 away from 1, whereas 6/7 is 1/7 away from 1. Since 1/7 is a little bit bigger than 1/8, 1/7 is a further away from 1 than 1/8, because 1/8 is a smaller fraction. So then I can use that information to compare, and I can see that 7/8 is greater than 6/7. Our last strategy is to find equivalent fractions that have common denominators. Just like we learned in the first strategy, once we have common denominators, it's easy to compare and order fractions by looking at their numerators. So let's take the two fractions 4/9 and 7/10. We first have to figure out what a common denominator is. I'm going to use my quick common denominator by multiplying the two denominators together. Then remember, we find equivalent fractions by multiplying the bottom, the denominator, and the numerator by the same number. So I'll multiply 9 by 10, and then I multiply 4 by 10. That equals 40/90. And then I'll do the same thing with 7/10, except this time I'm going to multiply by 9, and I'll multiply 7 by 9. And then I get 63/90. From here, I can easily see that 63/90 is bigger than 40/90. So going back to the original fractions, 4/9 and 7/10, I can see that 4/9 is less than 7/10. Remember our crisscross method for adding and subtracting fractions? Well, we can also use this to compare fractions when we are wanting to find a common denominator. Let me show you what I mean. Let's take the fraction 4/7 and let's compare it with 8/11. We can multiply these two. 4 times 11 is 44. We can multiply 8 times 7, which is 56. And then we can multiply 7 times 11, which is 77. This here becomes 44 77ths, and 8 11ths becomes 56 77ths. 44 77ths then is less than 8 11ths, which is 56 77ths. That's it for today. Have a great day.